Khajiit thinks it might be a good idea to refresh our spells. Alright. There is just the 3 of them, yes? Just the toughest ones. Khajiit's only seen 1. Maybe she's too far away.
Something is wrong. There is an intruder.
Ah, dang it. Why is Khajiit only seeing 1? That doesn't seem right at all. Where did the other 2 go? Well. Let's get our spells renewed. And then we shall see. Gotta put a stop to this ritual. Why? Why do they do such things? Why do people try to bring evil back? I mean, she doesn't understand. Another book. We'll see. Khajiit isn't sure what we'll see, but we'll see something. Probably something unpleasant. Okay, there's a door over there. Wow. Is that a stair? I think they're on a stair. Right. Well. Let's put down some presents, shall we? Ought to be enough. She can't see any of them. They're up there.
What was that? No one can save you now!
Now for the last one. Stop this! Stop this now! Stop it! Stop it! This is your last warning! Oh! Akatosh, what is going on? Is it ending? Did Khajiit stop it? Did we stop it? Boys, are you okay? Quadojo? Karjo? Arender?
Being a priest of Vermina put me very close to dark sorcery at its worst.
Khajiit got your back.
Arender? Is this dark sorcery at its worst? I mean, worse than what you saw?
If anyone sneaks up on us, I'll smell them coming. Or I might not. We will see.
That's awesome, thank you. Well, it seems over. You guys think that it... Arander? You think it's done? We interrupted it? Oh, well, at least Arander thinks it's interrupted. I just hope we didn't unleash something on the countryside. Why? Why do people do this? Maybe Khajiit will understand one day, and maybe she'll wish she didn't. What is this? Oh. Oh, there it is. Alright, well... Don't suppose we can destroy this, can we? No. That didn't do anything to it. What is this? The Refugees. By J.S. Albury. Maybe this will give us some answers. Let's read it. You guys watch Khajiit's back, yes? Ah, thank you. Khajiit appreciates that. Quadoja said, of course, what else? He thought it was under his breath, but Khajiit heard him. She should know she doesn't have to ask them that all the time. They know. They know. Alright, let's see. The smell of the bay oozed through the stones of the cellar, salt and briny decay. The cellar itself had its own sense of old wine turned to vinegar, mildew, and the more exotic spices of herbs the healers had brought with them to tend to the wounded. There were more than 50 people squeezed into the big earthen room which had once been forgotten storage for the brothel above. The groaning and whimpering had ceased for now, and all was still, as if the hospital had turned into a mass grave. "Mother," a Redguard boy whispered. "What was that?" The boy's mother was about to answer him, when there was another rolling roar from outside, which grew louder and louder, as if some great but incorporeal beast had come into the cellar. The walls trembled, and dust burst from the ceiling in a rain of powder. Unlike the last time, no one screamed. They waited until the weird, haunting sound had passed, and then was replaced by the soft rumble of the distant battle. A wounded soldier began whispering Mara's prayer for the doomed. From the doomed. Mankar, a Bosmer woman curled up in a cot hissed, her eyes feverish, flesh white and wet with sweat. "He is coming." "Who is coming?" asked the boy, grasping his mother's skirt tight. "Who do you think, lad? The sweetsmonger?" A grizzled one-armed Redguard growled. "The Cameron usurper. The boy's mother shot an angry look at the old warrior. "She doesn't know what she's saying. She's sick." The boy nodded. His mother was usually right. He had not yet even been born when the people began whispering that the Cameron usurper was coming towards her little village, and she had packed up their belongings to flee. Their neighbors had laughed at her, she said, saying that Rihad and Taneth would handily defeat him. Her husband, Lukar's father, who he was never to meet, had also laughed at her. It was the harvest time, and she would miss out on the celebrations. But his mother, Miyakil, was right. 2 weeks after she fled the village, she heard the tale that it had been obliterated during the night, with no survivors. Rihad and Taneth had both fallen. The usurper was unstoppable. Lukar had been born and grown up in refugee camps throughout Hammerfell. He had never known a friend for more than a few days. He knew that when the sky burned red to the west, they would pack up and move to the east. When it burned to the south, they moved north. At last, after 12 years of moving from camp to camp, they had taken passage across the Iliac Bay to the province of High Rock, in the barony of Dwenin. There Miyakil had promised and hoped that they would have a peaceful, permanent home. It was so green there, it blinded him. Unlike Hammerfell, which was only green in certain seasons and in certain places, Dwynnen was verdant year-round, until wintertide when it began to snow, and Lucar had been frightened of it at first. He was ashamed to think of it now, when there was real danger, but the red clouds of war, the stink and pain of the refugee camp, that was familiar. Now the red sky was on the horizon of the bay, and coming closer, and he longed for the days when a scattering of white made him cry. "Mankar!" the Bosmer woman cried out again. "He is coming, and he will bring death!" "No one is coming," said a pretty young Breton healer coming from the woman's side. "Hush now." "Hello?" came a voice from above. The whole room, almost together as one, gasped. Bosmer limped down the shoddy wooden stairs, his friendly face very obviously not that of the Cameron usurper. "Sorry if I frightened you," he said. "I was told there were healers here, and I could use a little help." Rosena hurried to take a look at the Bosmer's wounds on his leg and his chest. Disheveled, but still beautiful, she was one of the favorites at the brothel, who had learned her healing skill along with her more vocational skills at the house of Debella. She carefully but quickly pulled the rent cuirass, chausses, tassets, greaves, and boots off him, and placed them to the side while she examined the injuries. Hope he had underwear on. The old Redguard warrior picked them up and studied them. "You were in the war?" "Next to it is probably a better way to put it," the Bosmer smiled, wincing slightly at Rosanna's touch. "Behind it, beside it, in front of it, my name's Orban Emlock. I'm a scout. I try to avoid the real battles so I can get back and report what I see. A good job for people who don't like the color of their own blood very much." "Hism," said the warrior, shaking Orban's hand. "I can't fight any more, but I can fix up this armor if you're going to return." "You're a leathersmith?" "Nah, just a jack-of-all-trades," replied Hism, opening up a small canister of wax to prep the hard but flexible leather. "I could tell you were a scout from the armor, though. Can you tell us what you've been spying on? We've been down here for half a day now, with no word from the outside." "The entire Iliac Bay is one great battlefield on the waves," said Orban, and sighed as Rosanna's spell began to close his jagged but shallow wounds. "We've shut off the invasion from the mouth of the bay, but I was coming from the coast, and the enemy's army is marching over the Rothgarian mountains. That's where I had my little scuffle. It's not too surprising, moving the flank in from the side while the front battle is occupied. It's a play right out of Cameron Calto's Book of Tricks the Heart King borrowed." "The Heart King?" Lucar asked. He had been listening quietly, understanding everything, except that. "Haemon Cameron, the Cameron usurper. Haemon Heart King. They're all the same, lad. He's a complicated fellow, and needs more than one name." "You know him?" Miakal asked, stepping forward. "Near on 20 years before this whole black, bloody business. I was Cameron Kelto's chief scout, and Haemon was his sorcerer and advisor. I helped them both when they were vying for the Cameron throne, and began the conquest of— Ouch! Rosania had ceased her healing. With eyes of fury, she had reversed her spell, and the closed, mended wounds were opening again, dark infections returning. She held him with surprising strength when Orban tried to pull back. "You bastard!" the healer courtesan hissed. "I have a cousin in Felinesti, a priestess." "She's fine!" Orban yelped. "Lord Kaltos was very adamant about not harming anyone who did not pose a threat." "I think the people of Kvatch would disagree with that assessment," said Hism coldly. "That was horrible. The worst thing I've ever seen." Orban nodded. "Kaltos wept when he saw what Haemon had done. My master did everything he could to stop it, begging the Heart King to return to Valenwood. But he turned on Kaltos, and we fled. We are not your enemy, and we never have been. Kaltos could do nothing to prevent the horror that the usurper has brought to the Colovian West and Hammerfell, and he has fought for 15 years to prevent more." The frightening bestial roar passed through the cellar again, even louder than before. The wounded could not help groaning in helpless terror. "And what is that?" Miakal sneered. "Another of Cameron Kelto's tricks that the usurper picked up?" "It is indeed a trick, as a matter of fact," Orban yelled above the screech. Oh, Khajiit should have yelled. It is indeed a trick, as a matter of fact, Orban yelled above the screech. It's a phantasm he employs to scare people. He had to use fear tactics in the beginning when his power was ascending, and he has to fall back on them now his power is waning. That's why it took him 2 years to conquer Valenwood, and another 13 to conquer Hammerfell. No offense to you Red Guards, but it isn't your only battle It isn't only your battle prowess that has been holding him back. He does not have the support he used to have from his master. The echoing roar increased in intensity before once again falling silent. Mankar, the Bosmer woman groaned. He comes, and he will destroy us all. His master? Asked Lukar, but Orban's eyes had gone to the Bosmer woman, curled up in her blood-soaked cot. Who is she? Orban asked Rosanna. One of the refugees, of course, from your friendly little war in Valenwood, before you and your Keltos changed sides, the healer replied. I think her name is Kaelis. By Geoffrey, Orban whispered under his breath, limping over to the woman's cot and wiping the sweat and blood-streaked hair from her pallid face. Kaelis, it's Orban. Do you remember me? How did you get here? Did he hurt you? Mankar, Kaelis moaned. That's all she says, said Rosanna. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that it is, Orban frowned. Not the usurper, though she know him too, very well. She was a favorite of his. His favorites, you, Keltos, her, all seem to turn against him, said Mackle. That is why he will fall, replied Hizim. An armored footfall rang across the ceiling, and the cellar door burst open. It was the captain of Baron Othrock's castle guards. The docks are on fire. If you want to live, you'll have to take refuge at the Castle Whitemoor. We need help, Rosanna called back. But she knew the guards were needed for defense, and not to help carry the sick to safety. With 10 guards who could be spared, and the most able-bodied of the wounded assisting, the cellar was emptied as the streets of Dwinnen filled with smoke, and fire began to spread through the chaos. It had been a single fireball miscast out at sea, striking the docks, but the damage would be tremendous. Some hours later, in the courtyard of the mighty castle, the healers were able to set up the cots and begin to tend once again to the suffering of the innocent. The first person Rosanna found was Orban Emlock. Even with his wounds reopened, he had helped carry 2 of the patients into the castle. I'm sorry, she said as she pressed her healing hands onto his wounds. I lost my temper. I forgot that I'm a healer. Where's Kaelis? Orban asked. She's not here? Rosanna said, looking around. She must have run away. Run away? But wasn't she injured? It was not a healthy situation, but new mothers can surprise you with what they can do when it's all over. She was pregnant? Orban gasped. Yes, it wasn't such a difficult birth in the end. She was holding the boy in her arms when I saw her last. She said she'd done it herself. She was pregnant, Orban murmured again. The mistress of the Cameron usurper was pregnant. Word quickly spread throughout the castle that the battle was over, and more than that, the war was over. Haemon Cameron's forces had been defeated at sea, and in the mountains, the Heart King was dead. Lukar watched down from the battlements into the dark woods that surrounded Dwinnen. He had heard about Kaelis, and he imagined a desperate woman fleeing with her newborn baby in her arms into the wilderness. Kaelis would have nowhere to go, and no one to protect them. She and her baby would be a refugee, like Mackle and him had been. Reflecting back, he remembered her words. He is coming. He is coming, and he will bring death. He will destroy all. Lukar remembered her eyes. She was sick, but not afraid. Who was he? Who was coming if the Cameron usurper was dead? Did she say nothing else? Asked Orban. She told me the baby's name, Rosanna replied. Mankar. Well, that was a great story, but unfortunately it didn't tell Khajiit anything. Khajiit pick up anything else? Anything? Well, there was the damage health poison, skeever tails, and void salts. Is this the same one? Yes. Oh, that's a different recipe. Skeever tail and small antlers. Well, that doesn't tell Khajiit anything. She does not want these. That she does know. She's a treasure map, apparently. Well, Khajiit is going to put these lights out. If nothing else, maybe that will do something useful. Just to make sure this ritual is well and truly stopped. It's hard to get up here. That's Khajiit hopes that's not blood. Probably is, isn't it? Ouch. I guess this is the right thing to do if it's hurting her. Because maybe it means something doesn't like it. Like you. Can't wash that away. Maybe it's not blood. Well, Khajiit can't think of anything else to do to make sure that this is well and truly done. Khajiit is gonna should ask Arender and Quadojo, actually. Well, maybe even Karjo might have some thoughts on this. She doesn't, after all, know that much about him yet. She hasn't really asked him about his past that much. Guys, can you think of anything else Khajiit should do? Oh, Khajiit can think of one thing. Alkosh, first cat, please. Well, Khajiit doesn't think bless is quite the right word, but please could you influence this so this cannot be used again to bring evil back into the world that has been sent away from it? Khajiit doesn't know what else she can do, so and she doesn't think being dragonborn is going to help her, because the shout she's learned, one is to run fast and the other is to push things away, and neither seems, well, maybe Khajiit will try that. Alkosh, if this helps, well, we'll see. Fos Roda. Thum Gra Mal. Nothing has changed that Khajiit can tell. Khajiit leaves this. Khajiit can't talk. Khajiit leaves this in your hands. She can think of nothing else to do. Okay. Why? Why? All Khajiit can say is, thank the gods that they had caused problems at Dragonbridge and with travelers on the road, because if they hadn't, Khajiit wouldn't have been here in time. And Potemo would have been brought back. That would have been very bad. Just how bad Khajiit would probably find out by reading about it, she supposes. She'll have to consult her library. Say, Khajiit is curious. Did you like her video? Yes? Then please click the thumbs up button. Khajiit thanks you. Brrr.